So I want to tell you about some common reasons for claim denials. So one common reason too that an insurance company may deny your claim would be with incomplete information. So they didn't have the information that they needed, right? So whenever you were first filling out the insurance or what have you, they didn't have it, or within the actual claim itself, when you filled out the claim form or gave them the information for the claim, there's incomplete information that they needed and that they should have had. So you want to make sure whenever you're providing that information that you're very clear with them on what information they need and that you're able to provide it. Another one that we see quite often, and this happens in the personal injury world quite a bit, is lapse policies. So somebody will give, one of our injured clients their insurance, but then we call up and we find that their policy actually lapsed. And by lapse policy means, hey, they didn't make their payment. And so that policy is actually no longer valid. And so by doing that, you have a lapse policy, and then the insurance actually doesn't have a duty to pay anymore because you didn't make your payment and the policy is lapsed. So you want to make sure too then that you're timely paying, that you have your insurance coverage active, and by doing that, you're able to then, avoid that idea of a claim denial. Another one that can happen is the idea too of an event. So you believe that you should be covered for a specific event, and we can use things like floods, for homeowners insurance, like flooding or fire or what have you, right? But then whenever you look at your insurance policy, it actually doesn't say that you're covered for that event. So it's an improper claim because you're actually not covered for that. So if it's something that you want to be covered for, make sure that you walk through your policy, check and see that you're covered for it. If not, then talk to your broker about seeing what you can do to actually get that piece added to your coverage. So in the personal injury world, we see this one quite often, as a way that insurance companies try to deny claims, which is for a pre-existing condition. Now, sometimes they may actually say, if you've had this condition, when you're first signing up for the insurance, then we will not cover X or Y. However, we see them try to actually deny just solely because of that. And if it's not actually written in the policy, they can't really do that. So you want to make sure that it's very clear if they are denying you for a pre-existing condition that it's actually written in, versus them just saying that they're denying you for a pre-existing condition. And one of the other ways too that the insurance company too can try to deny a claim is by saying that you didn't follow their process. So you want to have a clear record and keep clear communication with them as you're going through the claims process. And so make sure then too that if you are unsure about something that you ask questions, and that you also get confirmation in writing of what the next steps are. So be very clear with that. Keep things in writing. Keep those communication logs back and forth in writing as well. Don't just take their word for it. Make sure that they send you a follow-up email or something as well, proving what they're saying of what the process is. So now the question is how do we actually avoid these claim denials? And you want to start with actually having very accurate and complete documentation of everything, right? So we want very accurate and complete information in the beginning whenever we sign up for our insurance. But then also for the claim process itself, you want to have very detailed records of the entire process of what you're doing and the information that you have so that you can provide it to them timely, but also very clearly as well. You also then too, like we talked about in the beginning, you want to understand your policy. You want to make sure that you completely understand what your policy covers, what it doesn't cover, and what, kind of the scope and range of your policy is in that sense. You also then want to understand too, like the monetary values of your policy as well. So if X happens, here's what the insurance will cover, and here's what I need to pay out of pocket, things like that. And lastly too, you want to make sure you have timely payments. You want to make sure you keep your insurance coverage paid. Again, do not let that lapse in coverage happen. It will not, it's a quick and easy way for them to deny. So if your claim is actually denied, now what do you do? The first thing I would recommend doing would be to actually get the denial letter and read it thoroughly. If you have questions about the denial letter, speak with an attorney and they can help you walk through it to understand it and see if there are any ways to kind of go about fighting that denial letter. And then secondly, another thing that you can do is you can potentially have an appeals process for the denial letter. So you could appeal it or fight it and say, no, I don't believe this is correct. I want to now appeal it or fight that denial letter. And there's a process for that as well. So there are some avenues, even if you get denied, potentially that you can do that, but then you want to make sure, just like what we've talked about before, that you've got accurate records and documentation, you've got clear communication, processes that you've, followed and things like that. And finally, if you're stuck, you've got the denial letter, the appeals process isn't working, still always go speak with an attorney. Find a law firm that can help you out, because I think it's really important, again, by talking to them and giving them information on everything that you've done, then it gives you more power. And remember, information is power. It's going to empower you then to make a decision one way or the other. But by doing that, one of my biggest phrases that I like to say quite often is, you want to fight a smart fight, not an emotional fight. By fighting that smart fight, by getting information, then you can decide what your next move is. So if you found this information helpful, feel free and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a like as well. We'd love the support and love to keep giving you guys more information.